Hey, what's up, guys? If you're new to the channel, please check out some of my other videos on the Bose L1 Pros. This is the L1 Pro 16. I have some sub 2's, a Bose tone match, and I do a lot of reviews on Bose products because I believe in the brand. I've been using them for over 20 years now. I've had every L1 system that they've put out, even though I know that Bose did not design this for a DJ. They designed these for a live band. And that's a plus. That's one of the reasons why they sound so good and why they have 180-degree coverage is because they were made for a microphone, a vocalist, a guitarist. But it's the DJ's benefit to get such a piece of equipment with a high quality sound output. So this Bose L1 Pro 16 has a 10 by 18 inch woofer. The woofer gets 1,000 watts. The 16 column array gets 250 watts if I'm correct. So the whole system is 1,250 watts of power. It does separate here with this spacer. If you want to bring this down, you can take this spacer out and bring this column down lower. But for the most part, the dB on the sub in this enclosure is anywhere from 119 dB up to 124 dB. And the frequency response can get down to as low as, I want to say it's 37 hertz. That may be for the sub 2, but I'm almost positive. The woofer here is the same woofer that's in the sub 2. Again, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that the enclosure for the sub 2 is different. And that's why it's designated as a sub versus the L1 Pro 16. The L1 Pro 16, because the cabinet is smaller, it's configured differently and it sounds differently. What I want to talk about today about the L1 line is the DJs who are using them and they're setting them up with their table and their controller and their rig setup, and they put one of these on the left side of their table and one on the right side of their table, which is the absolute worst configuration for any of the column arrays that you buy nowadays, whether it's EV, Bose, QSC. You shouldn't put them on opposite sides of the table because they literally need more space than that. Because of the columns with the wide dispersal and the interference that they give to each other because they're not being daisy chained, they shouldn't be so close together. Aesthetically, it looks pleasing to have one on each side, and you can still do that, but try to go at least 4 feet away on either side of your table. Not only will you cover more space for your audience, but they don't interfere as much. You would see an increase in sound out on the floor because they're further away and it gives them a wider dispersal. So sometimes you can get away with using one depending on the environment and how many people are going to be there. All the manufacturers, just like a car sticker, tell you that the estimated gas mileage is 34 miles to the gallon, city and highway. Your average is more like 24, 25 on daily running, but you don't ever get anywhere near that. Just like they tell you one of these will do a room with 100 people, 2 will do 300 people, and they all boast about that on their websites. It's a lie. Without any question, I don't care which manufacturer, even the Evolve 90s with those 18s in them, they sound amazing, but you're not doing a room of 300 people with 2 of them. They'll struggle, they'll clip, they'll fall apart. You need, in any situation, when you're doing a party, let's say you're doing a small party, 50 people. You're doing a live band or whatever, or you're DJing a small party with 50 people, you could get away with one of the L1 Pro 16s. That's not an issue. But wait. Sometimes your L1 Pro 16 needs a friend. So when a crowd gets bigger than 50 people, up to 100 people, you would need two of them to make sure that you get the coverage and the amount of sound that's required. So that if you space them out far enough, you have to remember the column has 16 tweeters in it. It has 180-degree coverage. So while I'm standing here, the sound is being projected, basically a wall of sound that's going to the left and the right of me and forward. So if you only have them 8 feet away from each other, they're going to kill you as the DJ trying to turn them up. You want to move them. Bose said they should be minimum 12 feet away from each other. So you're talking 5 feet on either side of you away from your table and push them back as far back as you can get them so that you'll be able to hear them as your monitor, but you're still widening the dispersal. Trust me, if you don't believe me, try it in your setup. You'll see the difference. I'm not going to talk about adjustments, external audio mixers, or any of that. I'm just talking about the amount of speakers you might need for the type of party that you're doing. So let's say you're doing a party and you know for a fact there's going to be 300 people there, minimum. Okay, so fine. You have two L1 Pro 16s, two Evolve 90s, and I'm telling you, they're not enough for a room of 300 people. So what do? You can add a subwoofer. Now, two L1 Pros and a Sub 2, you're going to get a nice amount of bass from that. So if you place your two L1 Pro 16s at least 12 feet apart from each other on either side, and you put that Sub 2 under or in front of your table, centered and far enough away from the two L1 Pro 16s, you're going to get some warm bass that's going to radiate outward, and it's going to be warm. It's going to be boomy toward your audience. But still, is that enough for a party of 300? It's going to add the bass you need, and you won't have to push your two L1 Pro 16s as hard as you normally would without that sub, but it's still not enough. It's close, but it's not enough. The L1 Pro 16s are 1,250 watts each. The subwoofer gets 1,000 watts, and it's the same subwoofer that's in the Sub 2. The exact same. There's no difference. The only difference is the configuration of the cabinet. As you can see, the Sub 2 is much bigger than the cabinet that the L1 Pro 16 is. So it's designated a sub because it reacts and sounds like a sub. This entire system sounds more like a very powerful, well-tuned 15-inch top. The amount of bass is great, but it doesn't compare to the bass that comes out of the Sub 2. So yes, it will warm up the room and give you that little bit of extra added bass that you were missing when you're trying to do a party that large. But what I suggest is this. Okay, so now we're talking a lot more power, a lot more sound. Why? Because you're adding a second Sub 2 to your setup. And what are you doing? You're doubling the amount of bass. The Sub 2 has a frequency response of 37 hertz up to 160 hertz. at a minus 3 dB. So if you're pushing it, you could lose that minus 3 dB on the output. But because you're doubling, if you put the two subs together side by side, I do not recommend laying them down. Now they have feet on the side, and you can see they have a pole for mounting a top, which you don't need because you have columns. So they say you can lay them flat on the ground, and when you lay them flat, you can stack them. They have feet on them that line up opposite of the other sub. So when you lay them flat on the ground, you can stack them on top of each other. I'll tell you from experience, when you lay it flat, the sub that's on the floor is closer to the floor. So it puts out more bass. It's definitely gaining extra dB because it's on the floor flat. But the second sub laying on top of it is further away from the floor, and the frequency takes longer to hit the floor. You want to keep them standing just the way they are. And when you put them side by side, they're of equal distance from the floor and they're right next to each other. You don't want to separate them, or like I said, put one on the left or the right of your table. They will cause cancellation, and you won't get the amount of power that you can from daisy chaining them and coupling them together. What you do is you put them side by side, facing the same direction, of course. You could use cardioid mode, but for a DJ, I've tried the cardioid mode and it doesn't increase the amount of bass that's going out towards your audience. It just decreases the amount of bass coming back towards you as the DJ by 10 decibels. You don't want that. It's going to bother you when you hear it. I'm telling you, I've tried cardioid mode. Don't use it. Put those two subs side by side, and if you have the space, you want to push them out as far away from you as you can to avoid that extra bass. But you have to remember, the sound is going to radiate outward. When I generally set up my subs, they're always side by side. If I can get them 7 or 8 feet out in front of me, perfect. I'll daisy chain them, I'll couple them, and because I'm adding a sub, I'm doubling the amount of bass. So one sub, the sub 2 max SPL is 129 dB, right? When you add a second sub, you're adding an additional 3 dB. So now I'm up to 132 decibels. Coupling them and putting them on the floor, I'm gaining at least another 3. So now I'm up to 135 decibels, 136 decibels, which means it sounds that much heavier, that much warmer, and the bass is really starting to kick. And you can turn it up more, especially if you have an external audio mixer. That's going to give you that extra punch. So now you're not working your 216s as hard as you normally would, because now you got this warm bass out front radiating out. You got those 16s far enough away with their subs in the bottom pushing that extra bass. You can do a party of about 200, 250 comfortably. If it's more than that, you should have an external audio mixer so you can gain that extra headroom and push it just a little bit more without clipping, without sounding distorted, without forcing your subs to use up the little bit of extra punch that they have, where you're starting to lose that negative 3 dB that's in the frequency response for the subs. But there's always another alternative, because a lot of DJs think that this is where you should stop because you're just a portable DJ, you're just a mobile DJ. When you think small, you get small. When you have a big sound and a great sound system, people tell each other. They go, his sound system is insane. So This portable PA system right here, 2's, 2 L1 Pro 16's, a crowd up to about, I'm gonna say honestly, safely 200. I wouldn't push this harder than that for 200 people. And that's an average size party. So if for some strange reason you need to do even more than that, the only way you get more sound out of your PA system, even with an external audio mixer, and I use a Bose T4S, is this. That's right, another L1 Pro 16. So now I'm increasing again the amount of sound that's in the room that I'm playing. If I have two of them behind me as a DJ, at least 6 feet on either side of me and behind me, these columns are throwing that sound. I got the 2 subs out front pushing. I'm gonna take another L1 Pro 16 and add it in the corner off in the distance, on my left or on my right, to add some fill sound and fill another corner. It's gonna add some bass from that corner. It's gonna push some highs and mids towards my floor. And it's going to allow me again to not push my system so hard. So now the 250 people that showed up at a 200 person party, or I know I'm doing at least 250 people, I got some extra sound coming in. So it's a big help. What's even better is that every time you add another speaker to your system, it takes pressure off of what you already have. You're able to adjust it because 1,250 watts of power coming from another corner, you're going to hear it, especially with these columns with 180-degree coverage. All of a sudden, a corner or a space that had no sound or had very little sound and people had to move closer will automatically be filled. You'll be able to adjust the volume on it. You'll be able to adjust everything, especially if you have an external audio mixer. So when you do that, now you've relieved your other speakers from being pushed just that much harder, and you filled the sound even more. So it's an odd combination to have 3 L1 Pro 16s and 2 Sub 2s, but you are adding the amount of wattage, and wattage isn't always important. It's really the amount of frequency response and how many dBs you can get on the floor out to your audience so you can fill the room with sound. And if you can eliminate spots in the room that you're playing for the amount of people that you're playing to, you don't have to play loud at all because sound will emanate from everywhere. So now instead of pushing your system, trying to get more and more bass, trying to get more and more treble because it doesn't sound like it's loud, now you're literally going to be turning the volume down because now it sounds clean, it's coming from everywhere, you're not pushing your system hard, and people are not complaining. What they're doing is the opposite. They're praising you on how great your system sounds, how clean it sounds, how it's not loud, but it's everywhere, how it's warm and the bass is really nice. But when there's 300 people in your room or more, you're gonna run into the same issue. You're gonna be pushing and pushing because body mass and people moving around, blocking sound signals and everything, really takes all of the acoustics out of the room. They absorb all of that sound into their bodies as they move and cross in front of speakers and your sound. When you first set up, the first thing you do, you plug everything up, you sit your speakers when you want them, and you walk off into the distance and you do a sound check with your body in your ears. Nobody walks around with a dB meter checking, trying to set up the sound so that they can make sure that no matter where they are in the room, they still get that same amount of sound that they're looking for. You know why? Because literally most DJs only have 2 column arrays and maybe 2 subwoofers, or 2 18-inch bottoms and 2 15-inch tops that they put on either side. And they just walk off in the distance to make sure they can hear it all the way in the back. And they go, that sounds good. Of course it does. There's nobody in the room. The sound is just pinging off of you in the wall. So of course it sounds good. It sounds great. But as soon as I throw 300 people right in front of that, you walk back there and do a sound check again, and you won't be able to hear shit because you only got 2 18-inch bottoms and 2 15-inch tops. So you rush to turn it back up and turn it up and turn it up. And then the tops are probably so loud that the people can't stand to hear it on the floor. And your subwoofers keep clipping in the red just enough to piss you off because you don't have enough speakers to accommodate a crowd that loud. I don't care what the manufacturer says, they're lying to you. So, what's left for you to do? Okay, so you could, like I said, add another speaker, because now you're adding another 1,000 watts of sub power, and you can place it someplace else if you need to. You can place it back there with the other L1 Pro 16. You can place it off on the opposite side. You can strategically move it around so that you could get some more fill bass in another location. That, again, like I said, every time you add more power, more dB to the floor, the less you have to push your entire rig. So because I added this, I'm adding 37 hertz on the low end. I'm adding another 1,000 watts, 129 dB, because it's by itself, but it's still 129 dB, and these sound amazing. So if I stand this up and put it in another corner somewhere, I'm filling another space where I didn't have it before. So what does that do? That makes everything else sound that much better, and I still don't have to push my system to a certain point. I can leave it where I am because I just added another speaker. But to get even further than this, when there's 300 plus 400 people in the room, again, like I said before, what do? Okay, so now at this point, you're probably thinking that I've lost my fucking mind or that I'm just ridiculous. But when I tell you, when you have 4 L1 Pro 16s, you put 2 behind you in your DJ space, at least 12 feet apart, and you push them back. If you can get them back up against the wall and let that 180-degree coverage do its job, I don't need a monitor. I got bass on both sides of me. I'm taking my other 2 L1 Pro 16s and I'm heading off in the opposite direction on the back end of this dance floor. And I'm putting them back up against the corners, up against the walls, out of the way. My speakers don't need to be anywhere near the dance floor if I set it up properly. Now I got 4 corner coverage of these L1 Pro 16s, 1,000 watt bottoms, 250 watts, 16 times 4. Think about it. 2, 16. Come on, man. 4. So now you got sound coming from every corner in this space. And it sounds clean. It sounds warm because you got 3 sub 2's. You got 2 daisy chained in the front, giving us this nice boom. You could do so many different types of arrangements. You could put 1 sub 2 with each of the 16s in the corners if you need to, so you can add the bass and space it out. But that's not what I would do. Me personally, from experience, this is exactly how I set up my system. Okay, so as of right now, I have officially run out of space. I can't do any more. But what you're looking at is a PA system that will do a room of 500 people. Not only will it do a room of 500 people, it'll do a room of 500 people without breaking a sweat. It won't ever clip. There will be no dead spaces. I don't have to turn my volume up loud at all for you to feel this system, for you to hear it coming from every facet, every corner, outside, inside. I don't care where you are, no matter what type of music you're playing. People can sit at their tables and still have a conversation, but still be able to enjoy everything that's being played, no matter what the genre, what kind of music. If someone needs to get on a microphone, they can walk in front of these. I've played these at a loud enough volume where you can literally walk past them like I'm doing right now, and they not cut into your ear. I attend a lot of parties for a lot of DJs. I get invites, I go to these parties, and I walk in and they don't have enough speakers to accommodate the crowd. So they're playing extremely loud. And a lot of the other column arrays that are out there, they get very loud so that they can push enough sound out into their audience. And the downside of that is they're so loud that they're disturbing, they're piercing. You don't want to be anywhere near it because it's so loud. These at the volume that I could play, but I never have to because I have so many of them, you can stand right next to it. You can literally just come out here and have a seat, and this won't bother you as the listener or the DJ because the sound is so widely dispersed in all of my corners and everywhere that I need sound to come from. So they sound amazing. The clarity is better than any of the others that are out there. Now, to be fair, I have not had 4 Evolve 90s, so I can place one in 4 corners. I'm sure they'll sound a lot better than just 2 because, again, you're doubling. But the difference with all of the other array systems is this. The way this is set up with the 180-degree coverage with the L1 Pro 16 and the fact that they make the Sub 2 in such a small form factor, the difference is these are very light. The Sub 2 is only 51 pounds. The L1 Pro 16 is about the same. I think it's like 50 pounds. It's less than that when you separate them. They have their bags, they have their covers, they're easy to set up, they're quick to move around, and they literally just blend into the wall. That's it. You just push them out the way and they're done. So when I do a party, and I do a large party where I need to bring out this entire system, what I do is this. I put my 4 L1 Pro 16s in the 4 corners, and because I have 4 Sub 2s, I don't chase my 16s. I let the subs and the 16s, because they're on the floor, unlike a traditional 15-inch top that's elevated, and you have that woofer up at a certain height on the stand, that woofer does not have anywhere near as much bass as this 16 does on the floor, because the sub is on the floor. So you're getting that extra bass from these 4 corners. You're getting the fill for the mids and the highs from the 4 corners. What I do with my subs, because I want to be able to get as much bass as I possibly can, is this. This right here is the sub setup. Everywhere I go, if I have my 4 subs with me, it's because I know I have to tackle a crowd. My 16s in 4 corners, gonna take care of all the mids and the highs, and it's gonna add enough fill bass in 4 corners that the sound is gonna sound incredible. But 1 sub is 1,000 watts, 4 subs is 4,000 watts. One sub is 129 dB down to 37 hertz, but 4 subs, daisy chained and coupled, I'm pushing, and on the floor, and they have to be standing like this. Because remember what I said, when you lay one flat, if you stack another one on the top, the second one is further away from the floor. So imagine a third and a fourth, they're even further away from the floor. So they say the closer to the floor, when you put a sub on the floor, you're gonna get a dB increase, maybe 3 dB increase. So with 2 subs together, I just doubled my 129 dB up to 132. So to double again, you need at least 2 more subs. And because it's on the floor, 132 is probably more like 135. So I add 2 more, I doubled again. I'm adding 3 more dB, so I'm up to 138, keeping this number kind of rough. But because I put them together and all 4 of them on the floor, 138, and they're on the floor, I might gain another 3. So I'm pushing 141 dB at 37 hertz. And you know how I know I'm getting as low as 37 hertz? Because I don't have to push them. Because when you put them together, they all start to work as if it's one sub, one signal. They literally bounce at the same time. They hit at the same time. Never separate your subs. Never put one sub on the left of your table and on the right of your table. All they're doing is sending out a signal and getting towards each other and dropping, canceling. You have all of these alleys. When I set up my system this way, I put these subs out in front of me. I will find the space where I can set up somehow in whatever space I'm in. And I make sure that these 4 subs are always in front of me, facing the dance floor, any kind of way I can get it to set up. I will move heaven and earth to do that. A minimum of at least 8 feet out in front of me. When I do that, if that's the wall in the place that I'm playing in, and I have my 2 L1 Pro 16s out there, these subs, I'm gonna be as close to the wall as I can get, and I'm gonna push these subs out in front of me, and I'm gonna cover my cable going back, and the magic is gonna happen. These 4 subs are gonna put out such an electrifying heat of bass that no matter where you go in that facility, in that room, and eventually, if the crowd comes in and I'm playing to 400 people, because that's the only reason I'm bringing all of this, they calling the cops. They coming. They gonna come knocking, because the bass coming off of this is gonna rattle the building. It's gonna knock glasses off of the bar. People are gonna complain about having chest pains. That's what these do. I have not heard that from anybody else's portable PA system that's this small. I bought this entire rig out here from out of my basement where my little studio is, and it took me about 25 minutes to bring it all out here. I'm not wired. I'm none of that. But I just wanted you to see it. I wanted to explain it to you. And I wanted to tell you that 2 column arrays, no matter who the manufacturer is not enough. Now, there's an exception, which is the Bass Boss. They just released a brand new column array, but it's $8,000 for one. But their column array has an 18 in the bottom, and it has a monster of a column, and it comes with a dolly because it's heavy as hell and you have to move it. It's over 100 pounds. That's 2 of these. It's over 100 pounds. The frequency response is insane. It's insane. And where this frequency response is down to 37 hertz, negative 3 dB, theirs is like, I want to say I saw 36 hertz or maybe 32 hertz. I have to go back because I've been doing so much research, but it's with a plus 6 dB. So no matter how hard you push it, you're going to get that low frequency response that's just steady booming. But I digress. None of the other portable, affordable arrays can do a party of 300 with just 2 of them. None of them. They sound distorted, they sound crazy. But if you know your craft and you're smart enough, you get 2 more. And immediately you're doubling. And you're taking the pressure off of your PA system, which is what you're supposed to do as a DJ. So 4 L1 Pro 16's, 4 Sub 2's, I can do a party of 500 and my system won't break a sweat. And at the end of the night, I will have people asking for my card. How much do I charge? I never heard a sound system like that. And I don't know why the cops keep coming when I'm not even playing it loud. My system never goes into the red. It never clips. The end result is that my clients love having that full surround sound with the bass and the mids and the highs. No matter where they go, they feel like they're in a live opera. And that's because of the quality of the product. The DJ's playing the right music. The sound system is amazing. You can't lose, but you suffer when you only have 2 and you have them on the ends of your table and you're pushing them to a crowd that's too big and you don't have enough speakers. That's the bottom line. If you don't like Bose, you don't have to. But the science that I just went through applies to every manufacturer out there. Bassboss is probably an exception, but every other manufacturer that's out there, the science is valid. Your external audio mixer should be down and have so much headroom from your gain structure. All of that's supposed to be done before you even start a party, before you even you don't need sound coming out from any of your speakers to do your gain structure. Gain structure is the key to any setup. So once you have your gain structure set up, you'll see if you have an external audio mixer along with your your rig, that not only will you find all this extra headroom, but you have an incredible amount of headroom. If that's the case, then you should be able to push your system to the point where it's like so loud that you can handle whatever you do. In my system with my tone match from Bose and my gain structure, I have an enormous amount of headroom. I have so much extra backspace that I will never, ever need that. If the room hits 700 people, I still will never, ever get to the point where my rig is ready to clip. If anything, they're still gonna come to me and ask me to turn it down some. It's too fucking loud. And who's knocking on the door? The police. That's one reason why I didn't plug these up. I'm not giving you a sound check. I'm not gonna power them up, because the last time I came out here and I plugged all this stuff up and I did a 3-hour set for my Twitch show right here. And I started feeling it. I turned it up and I could see through my gate. Police standing, looking through the gate, trying to see what's going on. So I turned it down. I walked over to the gate and they were like, yeah, we got a call, we got a complaint. You got subwoofers? So I opened the gate so they could see. And they go, yeah, you might want to just, respect your neighbors a little bit more. And I was like, fuck them neighbors. I've been here longer than all of them. They can suck my left teat. But anyway, I digress. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully some of this helped you. If you have any questions or any comments or suggestions, I'm open, because I watch a lot of YouTube University. I play around with setups with these all the time, with the cardioid mode, with stacking them up the tall way. Trust me, they need to stand just like this, because all 4 subs are touching the floor the same distance, the same everything. Trust me, best way to have them. The L1 Pro 16s, like I said, I've had every L1 system since the first one came out. So I know this product really, really well. In fact, I should be getting sponsored and paid by these motherfuckers for all the sponsors, for all the work I do with Bose. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to my boy DJ Irv NYC, because I know he probably gonna watch this. He's an incredible producer and a DJ. He just bought 2 L1 Pro 16s, and he's on the fence. I think he said his wife's gonna get him a Sub 2 for Christmas. I hope she does. But trust me, as soon as you get one, you're gonna go get you a second one, sir. That's what you end up doing. Again, if you have any questions, any feedback, just hit me up in the comments. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out.